Morgan and Abe approached me about 2 weeks ago, I think, about making a documentary about making mincemeat and about the wedding. And so they are making a documentary called, the working title is Mincemeat and a Wedding.
We like it.
And since mincemeat is in fact a conglomeration of a wide variety of ingredients, it's very fitting for this group. I don't mean any, there's no hidden meaning there either. So one of our traditional family foods for the holidays was always mincemeat, and that came, at least in my mind, came from my grandmother, Maud Ludington Kane Burt. The recipe that I grew up with on the recipe card says Grandma Burt's mincemeat recipe, and that's my father's mother. Her name was Maud Ludington Kane Burt, and I have 2 cards, and she obviously had those cards for a long, long time. I remember these recipe cards being the ones my mother used, and so those cards go back to at least the 40s.
Now, try to feel Grandma Burt as you pick up these apples, the one she would have wanted you to get.
Yep, that must be what I'm doing. She was pretty strong in sort of in her opinions and her will, but not in a way that was domineering. She would have been pretty happy about it. Most of my experience in having this food and making this recipe is a relationship with my mother, my own mother, Elizabeth Kenny Burt. She liked to bake it at the holidays, and she would just be overjoyed. First of all, that I was making, this or taking part in this project to make this, and the carrying on of that tradition would mean a tremendous amount to her. But that's who I associate making it with, because I have in the past actually made this recipe with her.
Ken's family and his mother always made it. Before she died, they really wanted to make mincemeat together. Her illness, she had cancer for the 4th time, progressed much quicker than any of us expected. And so they didn't get to make mincemeat that last time. And so I think for Ken, this has been kind of a fulfillment and a tribute to his mom to be able to do this with you guys.
Tradition and ritual are really important to humans. I mean, we want to come together at special times, and we want to mark those special times with something.
All I'm saying is that I think it's a process in life that these, when you talk about quote-unquote traditions, it isn't that they don't change. It's just that they do evolve. But they are often still rooted in things that go back a ways, sometimes quite a way.
Most families have traditions, and we follow traditions, but that's what they were, traditions. You do the same thing every year, year after year, and regardless of the situation, you did the same thing.
Tradition is all about ritual, participating in or observing, but preferably participating in some kind of a ritual where there's meaning behind many of the activities that are part of the sequence of the traditional activity, and that they symbolize to the people who are participating in it something important that sort of describes who that group of people is, or reminds that group of people who they are.
When we were little kids and our Christmases were a certain way, we didn't really pay much attention to that. I mean, we enjoyed it and we experienced it, but we didn't think about it as a tradition. Then as you get older, you are able to sort those out, and new traditions take the place, and you're more at ease with a person. I don't mean you, but I mean a person is more at ease with what their expectations are.
By participating in that ritualistic sequence of events together, you are sort of all acknowledging and commemorating something really important that's meaningful to that particular community.
We're a species that needs ritual and tradition, and the bringing together of people around certain ideas, constructs, foods, what we need, you know, just to feel connected.
So this is the activity that I made for everybody to do right after the wedding ceremony or whatever.
And tell us why you chose to do a wedding.
Because I think that people weave in and out of each other's lives, and at a wedding we're weaving two families together, and all of the people that will be here are part of our family.
I mean, I think the commitment between Sheri and Ken have been there for a long time and a lot deeper and more thorough than probably the majority of people who are married. It's really been good for Ken, and I'm really happy that he found Sheri and you. I've seen them the most grounded and just confident and secure. I mean, I guess I would say he's the happiest I've seen him in his life. I thought he really loves your mom, and your you know, he loves you guys. He loves the whole family. And I know how that is, having a family myself. I know how good that feels. I can see he feels the same way, so I'm certainly not worried about marriage. I mean, I know they are a little young, but kids are gonna do what kids are gonna do, you know. So.
I like the mincemeat edition. I think it's really cool to have now a Burt tradition, part of the Shortridge family Thanksgiving. So it's really fitting that now that they're getting married, that we have these two traditions. I mean, the whole meal is a Shortridge tradition, but adding the mincemeat to it, I think, is really important, and I'm looking forward to it for years to come.
And how do we keep our balance? That I can tell you in one word. Tradition!
I grew up with this being one of the traditional meals of our family, and actually when I was a kid I didn't really like the taste of the mincemeat pie very much, and my father on the other hand just absolutely loved it.
First thing that comes into my mind is this image of Dad ranting and raving about, this is mince pie, this is not mincemeat, and he was so upset that the world was getting away from mincemeat pie. There was no meat in the mince anymore, and it was just a travesty. He was a softie, really. I mean, he was a very kind person and cared about people.
But he cared about mincemeat more.
We all have our little things, don't we?
It should be a good experience for us when we try it. We'll see what the Burt family comes up with.
Now, I gotta know, are you doing the hand grinder that's clamped onto the table thing?
Yeah, that was a bit of serendipity. We're gonna have to find a meat processor, a
food processor.
Thank you, a food processor, and because that'll be much easier. And I thought, yeah, we'll find one because we don't have one. So the first person I called was my neighbor Lena Black, and I asked her, and she said, no, I don't have a food processor. And so I told her what I was looking for, just in conversation. And she said, well, I got a grinder, got a meat grinder. I got one of those. My mom used to always use it to grind up the roast, and said that's what we need to do. So she showed me, and it's almost identical.
When I was a kid, growing up in England, my mother used to make mince pies out of mincemeat, but it was always the store-bought mincemeat. It was all fruit, and so there was no real meat in it. It was called mincemeat, but the only traditional ingredient that dates back centuries is the suet, which is the nasty animal fat that they put in there to bind it and to give it that unique, sort of slightly unusual flavor that mincemeat can have. But my mother always told me about how the original mincemeat recipes used to have basically just whatever came off the animal that people wouldn't normally eat at dinner table, that they'd chop it up and put it into mincemeat and turn it into a pie and add something to sweeten it so you couldn't taste it tasted like crap. And that this became the tradition for mincemeat.
Even with pumpkin, with various traditional foods, it's like we think we're supposed to have them at the meal, and you know, pretty soon it's like people aren't really eating much of them. Yeah, mincemeat is kind of gross. And it, you know, mincemeat was very popular in America in the early parts of being a country, and it's not so much anymore.
don't mind the hired helpers coming through. We've hired maid service.
I never got it. I never liked the taste. I don't eat meat now, so now it's really, I wonder, like, what's all the fuss about? Maybe when it comes to mincemeat, I guess I'm kind of a hater, you know? Sorry.
The apple pie.
But I may be a hater, but I'm glad the tradition is there.
You may ask, how did this tradition get started? I'll tell you. I don't know.
Try that. We're gonna see how it tastes.
The inaugural
It's not bad.
Flavor-wise, what are we tasting in the flavors?
Raisins.
Texture-wise, is it crispy?
Oh no.
No.
It's firm, but not too firm.
Now, are any feelings of nostalgia coming back to you right now eating this mincemeat pie?
No.
Any feelings?
I'm glad it tastes okay. I'm so happy it tastes okay. This pie is the shit, isn't it? So that's a tradition. And I think, you know, when you say we don't have any traditions, I think when you're in the middle of a
in the middle of it, you can't see it.
When you're in the middle of it, you can't see it. When you're in the middle of something that is a tradition, you can't see it.
You know, that's interesting. The whole mincemeat thing. Being Canadian, my grandmother in Canada always made mincemeat for the holidays. Always, always, always. I tried a bite of the mincemeat, and it was as I remembered it. Again, it's one of those things where I feel that starting a new tradition, a tradition that has a lot more feeling, a lot more emotion, a lot more of the feeling and emotion that I've been looking for a long time, I'd rather go with that.
Marriage is an authentic weaving together of families of two souls with their individual fates and destinies of time and eternity.
We made the mincemeat, we had Thanksgiving, we had the wedding, and now it's all over finally. I've learned one thing that I think it was Lucian said, that when you're in the middle of a tradition, you don't know it. And so that kind of made me open my eyes and see that we have a lot of traditions that we don't even think about. And yeah, there's the Dawning's cranberry butter, Grandpa Jack's fried turkey. We had the mincemeat, which is now a new tradition. It went over pretty well. But we have a whole bunch of other traditions too.
But it's a tradition. And because of our traditions, every one of us knows who he is.
It's been wonderful. Everybody has worked together and gotten along well, and everybody has jumped in to help and just made a really great fun time very possible.
Mercutio. 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 He didn't like the way I was saying it before. It's all about Merc. It's all about Merc right now. Clean yourself, get ready for the camera.
Joy the soul, bitch!
I went through a kumquat at you or a Brussels sprout?
Throw a Brussels sprout at you.
Yeah, son of a...
I'm not hired help. I'm the eldest daughter of Sheri Shortridge, and I'm not paid to be here. I'm here because I want to be.
At last, my love has come along. My lonely days are over, and life is like a song. Oh yeah, at last, the skies above are blue, and my heart was wrapped up in clover. The night I looked at you, I found a dream that I could speak to, a dream that I could call my own. I found a thrill to press my cheek to, a thrill that I've never known. Oh yeah, yeah, you smiled. Oh, and then the spell was cast, and here we are in heaven, where you are mine at last, where you are mine at last.
So, look at Burt. Fuck you. I'm not.